Ro, take it away.
What's up, everybody? You know what it is. Your boy Romero, a.k.a. Rose Gold, a.k.a. Winter Coat Roams, even though it hasn't been winter like that because it's been a shitty winter. But, you know, we out here just chilling, man.
A shitty winter or a great winter?
It's been a wet winter more than anything.
Is that bad?
It's been very moist.
A moist winter, indeed.
But you already know what it is. 1 year later, it is the pivot episode dose.
Yeah, season 2.
Season 2. All right, I'm gonna kick it over here. I'm gonna just keep drinking, but yeah, fuck all this shit. Cue the music.
Welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash, Ketchum, Pikachu. We don't evolve. We just level up. Ro, what happened, man? Coming on with the cold open. Thought you usually come with a lot of energy, a lot of charisma. Then you became a dad, and then you're like, hey, guys, how's it going? You know what it is.
Yeah. I'm tired.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
How many hours of sleep last night?
3?
Oh, dang. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. 3 for sure.
All right, we have a couple of guests on. This is the Pivot episode, Season 2. We were supposed to do D&D Session 1, but of course, things happen. So when things happen, we have to
Pivot.
Which is unexpected for Romero, because this is how we did it last time. We have to pivot to something else. What is that something else? I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. We got Ro. Hold on. Ro, almost asleep, green.
Nice. That's pretty good. Yeah.
We have Tom, nerdier than you are, Chatfield, also aka DMT, put respect on his name.
What's up, guys?
And we got
We have a newcomer.
new guy Tony. I don't have it. I'm sorry, man.
New guy
New guy Tony works good.
New guy Tony.
New guy Tony works.
Coming in to be the fill-in that we did not use.
So this was the epitome of the every D&D meme ever, as far as scheduling conflicts go. We had this planned out 7 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, but life happens. You know, we peered forward into the future and looked at 14,605 different futures. And how many of them were we able to play D&D? One.
Just one.
One.
And this isn't the one.
Nope, this isn't the one. We thought it was.
But it's
We were
not.
hoping. It was looking good up to this week. I was expecting at least one to be out. Ernie was probably the one that I was expecting to be out. Him or Don.
Yeah. Well, we lost 2, so, I mean, at that point, we were kind of like, yeah, we got to reschedule.
So, here we are. We have the emergency pivot episode. Bro, you look like you're about to fall asleep, man.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be out with the boys and just hanging out.
I'm happy you're here.
Appreciate it. So,
So give him another 2 whiskeys. He's going to be sleeping on my couch.
Just hear him snoring in the background.
I'll still have the mic. I'm good. I just...
All right, let's get into it. What have you been nerding out on? Who wants to start?
DMT, let's go to you, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this whole last week was consumed with writing a whole lot of a D&D... But this whole last week was consumed with writing a lot of a D&D campaign that I don't get to complete today, so that's a little bit of a letdown. 3D printed some custom minis for our big bad evil guy. Got that painted up.
Looks great, by the way.
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
Yeah, I see him over there, too.
He's chilling.
Badass.
Other than that, I joined the Monopoly Go train.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm doing. That's
Target-
not really nerdy. That's pretty. I feel like that's pretty common.
It's a pretty casual game.
Yeah.
What
This
the
a
fuck is
casual
that?
Fucking targeted me like 28 times, too.
game. Yeah, fuck you, Jake.
Look down and like, hey, who can I target? Tom Chatfield. 28 times.
Do you want to know
targeted
the
you.
real reason why I did that? Is because it was like you and 3 other people that played it that were on my Facebook, and so
Oh,
those were the 3 people that I could target.
It's always fun just going after one person and then trying to like take down each one of their little landmarks and then just have a picture of all 5 of those landmarks being with your face.
Yeah.
Especially now with there's like emojis that you can do. Like there's like kissy face one that I like to do when I target somebody.
You're an asshole.
I take the screenshot and then send it to him with a smiley face too.
Yeah, someone to Ernie, but I guess apparently he never even actually started the game.
And he started once, he attacked me once, and then that was that.
Yeah, I think I usually put a little shrugging dog emoji. It's cute. Anyways, this shit ain't nerdy. Let's move on.
All right, Ro. Yeah, have you had time to nerd out on anything?
It's still the same, man.
One Piece?
It's still One Piece.
Yeah, that's on my list. It's been number one for the last 4 months. I have not yet taken it off of the number one slot for what I'm nerding out on.
No.
You're at 10-11.
10-11.
Which arc is that?
Wano.
Wano? Wano starts 900?
No.
800?
It's somewhere in the late 800s. It's the longest arc in the entire series.
Now they're starting Egghead, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You know, it's a long anime series when you don't even talk about it. Like, episode 56. No, it's, the hundreds, the 800s, 700s.
Episode
around
there. I'm in Impel Down, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're halfway through Impel Down. Then Marineford's next. And after Marineford, I don't know how we're going to watch One Piece, because that's like all the episodes that are up to Netflix is Marineford. But they've been adding an arc each month the last couple of months. So
okay.
Hopefully by next week they add another arc, and
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
You can always do Crunchyroll. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about, but it might also be like our breaking point too. We're like, all right, we're gonna maybe
take a break,
ease back and watch something else. But there's so many nights where I'm like, One Piece, and the wife's like, can we watch something with an ending? I'm like, no.
There is. It's just 3,000 hours out.
We have to work for it, and then once we get there, then wait for them to finish it.
I was thinking about this as far as like One Piece, and I say this to anybody: if you like a show that likes world building or character development, that's where it's at.
Yeah,
because that's what it gets. It just hooks me. Because even in the beginning, I was like, God, why does everybody love this fucking show? Here I am, thousands of episodes later. I'm like, it's still good. 20 years later, it's still good.
It really captures my ADHD, because I was like 1,000 episode series. I can never do that. Never, ever, ever. Here I'm at 450, and I'm still wanting to watch more, because it's just, you never know what's going to happen. You have a really good idea. In ADHD, when you have ADHD, you are really good observing and predicting plots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen with One Piece often.
That's saying a lot, too.
Like, I know characters aren't going to die, but, like, shit's still going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, it's really weird, because this is, like, a series that nobody ever actually dies. They all come back at some point. Impel Down is, like, a lot of the villains come back.
You'll get your Kleenex ready. I'll say that much. So, yeah.
I already passed the Island of Women. What do I need Kleenex for?
Yeah.
Kleenex for a different reason? You passed the Island of Women?
I'll talk about this in another episode. But there's an arc called the Island of Women, and it's where literally it's the whole Amazon. The main character Luffy comes out, and he starts eating all these different like mushrooms. And my first thought was, holy shit, Luffy's doing shrooms. And it's funny because, like, each shroom actually, he's like, oh, I'm sad now. Now I'm happy. Now I'm,
tweaking.
Fucking literally doing shrooms. And then one of the shrooms is, like, shrooms start to grow, like it's cordyceps. And I'm like, oh shit, they're doing cordyceps before Last of Us. And so these, like, Amazon ladies, they see him full of shrooms, so they thought Luffy was a girl like one of them, so they started treating him, and they're like, oh, we moved all the shrooms, except there's one left. And they're like, all right, we gotta try to pull it off. And like for a good like 2-3 minutes, that's what they did. It's literally the whole episode was these 3 women trying to pull off his mushroom. And I'm like, this dude's fucking getting jerked off. This is like borderline porn. And I really respected the fact that they didn't just like flirt with the idea of like
they stuck to the bit.
They went hard with the bit, because like all these women are like just
they went hard with the bit.
They're all like just staring at his junk. They're like, what are those? Those sack shrooms? And you're like, no, it's my family jewels. And like, he's rich too? And like, as he finally escapes, and like this giant Amazon lady was chasing him, and like she blocked his path. He landed right in her tits, and the tits they like fucking jiggled in the anime. And I'm like,
I mean, it's not a good anime without some good boob physics,
oh, yeah.
right?
So it was like one of the when I was watching the episode, I'm like, I appreciate that they went all adult with it, but I still feel like this is a teenage, made for teenagers, and I know it's not, but it was like almost off-putting. At the same time, I was also really respecting it.
Sure.
That's what I said for the.
But that's not why I say get your Kleenex. That's not why I say get your Kleenex. There's going to be a very sad moment in there. It's
Right,
probably
soon
one of
for
the,
me.
Oh yeah.
They kill Ace, don't they?
No.
Well, don't spoil it. Come on now.
I'll just say 2 words for you: Paramount War.
Paramount War.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave it at that.
All right, I'm excited for it. Other things I'm nerding out on. Baldur's Gate's been my D&D fix for the last week. I've been trying to prep for it. I finally learned how to like fight. You can't just straight up go into a fight and try to battle people. You have to like be sneaky and strategic about it. And I'm starting to learn the mechanics and the amount of choice that I have. So I'm getting into it. Except I hate that it's not kid friendly. So I can't play it around my 4-year-old.
Sure.
Because he's very much into video games, and anytime I play a video game now, he's like, can I play? It's like, I'm going to have to teach you that this game's for me and me alone. Here's a Switch for you.
What is that? Rated M, right? There's
Baldur's
a lot of
Gate?
stuff you can do in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, there's a lot of sex scenes come in, and there's like there was one scene where it's like a giant orc and then like a human just going at it, fucking in the shed. And like you walk in, that's what you see, and then you have to either fight them or talk them down.
You haven't had your bear scene yet?
Haven't had the bear scene yet. You played?
I have it. My laptop is shit though, and so I'm getting a new one after I get my taxes back, and I'm gonna give it the whatever. I played a few hours, but yeah, I just see the clips of the bear scene all the time.
I just rescued Halson is the bear.
Okay.
So I just rescued him, and I'm like, oh, that's the famous bear guy.
Mm. The druid, I believe he is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Druid.
Yeah, I haven't even got that far. I got like 2, maybe 3 hours in.
Yeah, I'm like 14 hours. I'm still very much just getting into it. It's taking me a while to get like into it.
Good segue for new guy Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, New Guy Tony.
What I'm nerding out on. So I finished Jujutsu Kaisen.
Nice.
That was awesome. A
Nice.
great season. I know it finished a while ago, but then I downloaded the PS5 upgrade for The Last of Us Part 2.
Nice.
Going through that hardcore grounded plus playthrough.
Awesome.
That's always fucking.
This show's covered a lot of Last of Us.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on part 2? Are you a fan or are you a hater? I feel like there's no in between.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan. I know people shit on it for all sorts of reasons. I thought they did a really good job of trying to humanize a villain.
Yeah.
The more I've replayed it, the more I do get the whole Abby scenario and why it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a big fan of how like the first game was all about survivor's guilt, finding love in a world that no longer loves you, rebuilding your person. The reason why Joel dies in the second one is because he found his humanity. He goes out of his way to save Abby. That's what kills him. So that being soft is always it's too large of a vulnerability in a world that's that dangerous.
Yep.
But then the cycles of violence and how they explain, Ellie's going to do this, go after Abby. Abby's going to continue. Eventually, it goes to where there's no one left alive.
Yeah.
So and then breaking that. So no, I thought it was really cool. I liked it. There are some things like Abby's sex scene and some other parts are like, that's really not needed. That's weird.
Yeah, the Abby sex scene it felt forced almost.
Yeah.
I will say the second time I played through part 2, I was a fan the first time, and I actually really liked the change to Abby and really started to like her character. I will say the the change of pace was kind of off because you go 1 whole or 3 days through one character and then go back in time. It kind of feels backwards. Where I felt like if they would have went back and forth, it would have been a lot better for their overall game experience. But yeah, the second playthrough, I started liking Abby even more. Because she's essentially just Joel from game 1. She has very much a similar arc.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think most people would have been fine with, instead of Joel dying in the beginning, having more of the flashbacks, and then following Ellie, and then Joel being somewhere in the middle of, his why he died and push things forward. I don't know, kind of rescheduling all of those scripted the background stuff, but I still like how it came out.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was your thoughts on the show?
I was not a huge fan of Bella Ramsey at first. I thought there was other options I thought would be good. I think that they made it their own thing, which was really cool. Pedro Pascal, obviously awesome. There's a sci-fi movie that came out in 2018, I think, called Prospectors, that started as a short film and made it into a full movie. He plays kind of a Texan dude, and they're out on essentially a space Joel, and he does a great job in that film. And then when I saw that and heard he was going to be Joel, I was like, okay, this could work.
Yeah.
Nice.
But overall, it makes sense that they had to get rid of the spores because Pedro's in The Mandalorian. He's always wearing a mask. It takes away from the character. They'd be playing so much of the show in masks that it would suck.
Yeah.
But I like how terrifying it is when that infected grabs hold of Tess and the stuff hurts coming out of his mouth.
It's
that was this is new and this is cool. It's actually way scarier than just spores. Yeah, so I was a fan of that.
That was my 2023 kiss of the year. Yeah, that's so I have a rating system. So we do it out of 5. 1 is trash, 2 meh, 3 good, 4 great, and 5 is elite. I rated the show a 4+. What would you rate that show? Plus being it's borderline of the next tier, either above it or below it.
Yeah, it's a 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah, I would put it there. It didn't have everything I wanted, but it had most of the stuff. And there was a lot of stuff, the Bill and Frank episode. They completely changed the Kansas City episode.
Yep.
Very different from the game, but it gave a chance to actually humanize the characters, which you don't get in the game as much. And it actually does the world building, like you were saying. It explores more stuff, and that's where I was like, okay, I really like that part, but there are some things that I was missing, a couple more action scenes. The infected were kind of not as prevalent. The Kansas City fight was the biggest one, but I get that it's expensive to do that stuff. Yeah,
I wish there was a little bit more cordyceps. That's probably my 2 big complaints for that show was there wasn't enough of the clickers, and I don't feel like I needed them to be the main part of the conflict or main part of the action. Just an open scene, especially the last episode. If they were hey, they showed an action scene of Ellie and Joel defeating the clicker, and after they defeat the clicker or the infected, and then they start their conversation. I feel like that would have been a nice way to be hey, there's still danger, but our characters are to a point where it's only more of a minor inconvenience at this point. Still very much a danger, but they're handled it. And my other big complaint was there wasn't enough episodes.
Yeah, they could have explored a bit more. The infected, the clickers and all that in the game, they're an obstacle you get through. In the movie, it was really, which I kind of like and dislike because it takes them away, but they're to be avoided at all costs. Which in real life, that's what it would actually be like. But I wanted a little bit more action.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move into the news, and I don't have much, just because I did an episode yesterday. First big news: the Avatar show is out, or is coming out. February 22nd. They just released a trailer for it. Has any of you guys seen the new trailer yet?
It's Blue People Avatar or Flying Buffalo Avatar?
Flying Buffalo.
Got it. No, I haven't seen it.
No? Ro?
I saw bits and pieces. It looks good.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Looks better than M. Night Shyamalan's.
Way better. 100%.
That's one of the few movies I give a 1 rating to because I can't finish it.
Was Uncle Iroh even in that one?
I think he was.
Okay, because he was the best character in the TV show.
He is, yeah.
And if I don't even remember him being in the show, obviously he was nowhere near as good and as memorable as he was in the show.
So Scott was watching with us. This was like 2 weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up finishing book 1, so I'm doing a review episode for as preparation for the new Netflix show. And I told Scott, like, if you take one thing away from this show, one thing at all, is be Uncle Iroh. Be Uncle Iroh. He's like the ultimate men of men. Like, he's just the most moral, like, esque character that I've in like most TV shows, or most, like, I don't know.
He's top tier.
Yeah.
Like, he's a solid dude. And it's not just in terms of a character, but like, you listen to him, you hear what he has to say. You're like, oh, you can take this. These are life lessons.
Yeah, he's very wise, and
Yeah.
I like him as a character too, because he was a bad guy. He's a bad guy, like, who's on reform. He was a general, and we did watch book 1. He's not really in a whole lot of book 1. Like, he's there, but he doesn't have like those famous quotes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like book 2 and beyond. And I'm excited when we get into book 2.
You start to really see his character come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like this whole philosophy is like, oh, you're my enemy? Let's have some tea. Let's talk it out. Like, that's the kind of philosophy that he has.
And he's also ridiculously funny.
Yeah.
Best comic relief in the show.
I think one of the last episode I watched, him and Zuko are on the run. He had this flower. He's like, ooh, deadly poison, but could also be great tea. Is it worth it? And he comes, Zuko comes back. He's like all bloated. He's like, the flower was not worth it. It was definitely poison. All right. Other big news. This was in the last episode. Palworld is taking over Pokemon, and Pokemon Company is like, they seem mad. And Tony has been playing it. I've been watching some videos. It looks like Fortnite plus Pokemon plus
Arc?
Breath of the Wild.
Arc, good call.
And yeah, I would say it's like Breath of the Wild, Ark, Pokemon, and then Fortnite. Yeah,
It looks addicting.
it is. We were in a group chat about it. And I was like, I'm not gonna play this fucking game. It looks stupid. And then it was on Game Pass, so I downloaded it. And I was with my kids playing, and I was like, oh, god damn it. It's one of those games where it's early access, and it's so janky, and there's just so many stupid things to exploit and run into. Obviously, it's very bare bones, all that stuff, but it is stupid fun. Like, you just get to run around, capture Pokemon, have them fight stuff, get into big fights and battles. There's some dungeons and other stuff to go through, which it's pretty bare bones, but it's still fun. You get a bunch of people together, it's great. There's a whole bunch of bugs and glitches where, like, when you capture it, a pal, quote unquote, it goes up into the sky. You can climb up onto the ball, and it'll launch you to the top of the map. So you can use that to get to all sorts of areas. But it has like the stamina bar, like Breath of the Wild, and there's like gliders, and then like Ark, you can make harnesses and fly and ride stuff. It's just great.
So I have a question. I don't really know much about this game.
Yeah.
Besides that, the people who originally made Pokemon, they're pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's about it.
Game Freak, right, is the company.
Yes,
Yep. Yeah.
that's correct. So what is it exactly? It's like you catch a Pokemon and then the Pokemon shoots another Pokemon, or what?
That's a Tony.
Yeah, it's so you whittle them down by beating them with a stick or shooting them into submission, and then you catch them, and then you build a base, and you put down this PAL thing, I forget what it's called, but within a certain period or area, you can start a farm, and then you pretty much enslave these Pokemon to start doing stuff. So it's like, you're going to go work in the mines, you're going to go cut down this, you're going to get berries, and then all the pals have like abilities, so it's like one can water stuff. So he's on the farm making the berries that feeds the rest of them.
Okay.
And then you can put some together, and they'll make like the spheres to capture more pals and like all this other stuff. But yeah,
This is my Pikachu. This is his Glock. Got it.
Yeah, and there's a chipmunk, they call it like a life monk or something. You can give him an AK-47, and then he pops up on your shoulder, and he's like a turret kind of thing. And yeah,
Just imagine Pikachu being like stuck in a generator. Like that's just, he's just hooked up to electrodes. Just Pikachu, just weeping.
so there's like a smithing thing, so you have to have a fire Pokemon, dude. And there's like the other day I had it, and I was like trying to make all this iron, so I started making crossbows and the guns and whatnot. And at some point, it was like, he's tired and no longer wants to work. And I was like, back in the fucking cage. And I picked up my other one, and I was like, start working. So yeah, it is stupid fun. It'll be fun to see where it goes.
It's called Slave Labor Simulator.
No, it's Palworld, man. They're your friends.
Yeah.
They do it out of friendship.
They just love me so much.
It sounds
Palworld,
ridiculous,
okay.
but that is just fucking Pokemon.
Yeah, it is.
Pokemon fight for you because they're friends with you, so they're going to battle the other Pokemon to the death. I mean, close to death, because they're friends with.
So is Pokemon just like gladiator simulator with cute animals?
I mean, it's essentially a cute cockfight.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Pokemon is when you really think about it. You're enslaving beings to essentially battle for you for your own entertainment.
The fun part is you can also capture humans.
What?
Oh shit!
Yeah. There's like the Team Rocket of the world. It's called the Syndicate, and that's the people that you're fighting. You go to these towers and you fight their big Pokemon that they're riding and whatnot. But you can capture these guys, and I just imagine like, hey, I choose you, whatever, and then it's like, Steve, go! Just staring at a giant dragon.
That's great. That's always been like the biggest question with Pokemon is, can you capture other humans with this technology, and what would it be like to be captured?
All right, see, first talking about Palworld, it's like, oh, this sounds like borderline slavery. Then you talked about capturing humans, so it's like, oh, it's definitely slavery.
It's slavery simulator.
It's not really borderline. I think it just is. We just don't really focus on that part. It's the fun part.
You're
that we
friends.
focus
You're
on.
friends. So you're doing it for friendship, not for monetary gain.
It's for love, and it's definitely no monetary gain or.
Steve says he's out. Better get back in there, boy.
I'll put you in the mines.
Speaking of like glorified cockfights, I remember seeing like it was either a pitcher or like a vine. I don't remember what it was. It was a long time ago. But the dude, like he named his trainer Michael Vick, and he only used dog Pokemon.
No.
It was all growlers and arcanines and shit. I was like, damn, dude, you went there.
Well, there's a new new dog Pokemon that's essentially a ghost dog. So yeah, I feel like half his team is going to have to be at least graveyards.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Or the joke of like, how do you make Eevee into a ghost? Like their ghost evolution, you just take a brick. So So is there ghost pals, and that's how you get them to be ghosts?
No, not that I know of. I assume it's probably something.
So what is the situation here? Is Game Freak, are they going to go after?
There's a lot of pals that essentially just look like Pokemon. Like Electabuzz is one of the bigger ones. Luxray, there's a pal that looks just like Luxray but just slightly different.
I heard there's one that looks like Lucario.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. It looks like essentially like AI ripped off Pokemon. That's kind of what it looks like. But my big thing that I kind of like look at for Palworld, and I talked about this a little bit last week as well, is I really hope this motivates Game Freak into actually making a good game, because they've been essentially just cash grabbing it for the last like decade.
Yeah.
They've been making a lot of games other than like maybe Arceus, just they look bad. That's really buggy, doesn't have all the mons, and it's just kind of boring. Like the last like Scarlet and Violet, they gave us what we wanted, but in the most minimal way possible. Like, hey, you want a 3D Pokemon game? Sweet. It's gonna look like shit. And like the mechanics they're there. And like we all gobble it up because it's like, 3D Pokemon game.
Yeah, I think all the Pokemon games are kind of suffering the Call of Duty effect.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, just stomping one out twice a year, basically. You know, just make that money.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like. And then Palworld looks great, it looks innovative, looks new. It's essentially like what Pokemon should have been, and really what Game Freak should aspire to be. And so that's what I'm really hoping for when it comes to Pokemon in the future. I hope they take this as a lesson and like, hey, we can actually make good games that people really want to play, because people want a good Pokemon game.
Well, they have to step it up now. They don't have a choice.
Well, Palworld will take over. Pokemon with guns.
I was gonna say I've seen a couple of takes on it from like game designers where they said that Game Freak's gonna try to do everything, but when it comes to like animation of video game characters, like there's only so many ways you can animate. Like you got a thing with a big, trunk, little head, 2 arms, stumpy legs. The way that, however they do it in the engine, there's only so many ways you can animate that, and like only so many like appendages you can add. Otherwise, it just becomes not usable. It's not going to work with like the way that the engine works. So it kind of Pokemon ran itself into the ground too with that, where like it couldn't innovate stuff. Yeah. So they have very generic. What's the word? The character design. It's generic.
Yeah. Like cookie cutter?
Yeah, it wants to operate as cleanly and easily as possible in the engine. Mm-hmm. So Palworld just did the same thing. So, of course, a lot of the cutouts, if you look at them, are going to be very similar because it's following that same design thing. So I don't think they're... In terms of that, it's not going to stand up very well because look at every other shitty homebrew game that's using the same assets and stuff. Yep. Looks just like Pokemon. It's going to be the coloring and some of the names and descriptions that might get them.
Yeah. I think they'll be fun. I don't think Pokemon is going to win their way out on this one.
They got a lot of money, though.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well.
Round 2 for Rogue.
Oh, this is 3.
All right, while you're at it.
All right.
All right, should we move on to D&D talk? Yeah. This was supposed to be our D&D episode. I kind of wanted to talk about our last episode. And I want to bring out the awards. Do you remember the awards that you gave people?
Let's find them.
Tom will look it up.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I mean, I was looking forward to it, but as all D&D games go, there's always scheduling conflicts.
Always scheduling conflicts. It is what it is. I really wanted Turlo. I was excited for his character.
It's tough as you get older, man. Things happen. Things change.
So, Ro, how much money did you give me, man?
Oh, I'm not going to say.
You didn't even think this through, did you?
I'd rather not say right now. It's a nice bag.
I also feel like in story, so you, for those who listen to the episode, me and Ernie's character, Turlo and Thurgood, were trying to get in. Ro's already in it. He knew the king that died. And you're just going around like, you're essentially like Tony Stark, Nick Fury. You're like trying to recruit the Avengers for a mission.
Sure.
And it made me like question like in session. I was like, did like Tom go to Ro and just be like, hey, I need you to like recruit people? Like it made me question that in session. But now I know that's not what happened.
No, not at all.
So my only question to you is like, what were you doing, man? And there needs to be like in story like reason that you're going for that's like outside of like the actual goal.
What was the original goal? We're all just there.
We're
right?
just there, man.
We're just there.
You're the only one who had a goal. I was just trying to get Viking titties. That was like my main goal that whole session.
Right.
I'm like, I just got from the tavern. I'm probably drunk as shit. I need a reason to go to this Viking funeral. Like the only reason why is, mourners are often more hornier, and Viking titties is a great opportunity for me.
Well, all right. Before I could even respond to that, DMT, let me ask you this. If this is something that has to, you're the person that creates the storyline and stuff. But if I do, let's say I do have a reason why I did what I did, do I say it now or should I just wait until we actually play?
Dude, it's up to you.
I'm not gonna say shit.
Okay.
Alright.
I just hope. Yeah, I'm like, because I was re-listening to the episode. I'm like, Ro is recruiting. This has to stay in. He has to have a motive. And I'm like, I'm gonna push back on it. I want to make sure that we figure that out at some point.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right. Do you have the awards?
I think Ro's motivation was whiskey that day. Honestly.
Well, I figured Ro's motivation. I was thinking more of Geo.
Well, I mean, those bleed into each
I
other.
know.
There's a lot going on, man. I was like 6 deep.
So I had this like thought of like, what if it's like reverse world, where like our characters for the session is actually playing Dungeons and Dragons, but like more opposite. Like this is D&D for the real world. All right, guys, you're gonna work a 9 to 5, and we're gonna schedule a D&D session. Thorgood's just like, can't make it, and everybody like, fuck. Be like the worst like actual D&D ever. You just work a 9 to 5 and that's it.
Why? That's why we play fantasy games. Our lives are dull and monotonous.
I quit my job. You roll a 1. I can't do that.
Yeah. I asked my boss for a raise. 1. You get fired. I found the awards.
Awesome. All right, Tom, give the awards for
Let's go.
session 0.
Let's go right off the top here. So, the winner of the biggest asshole award goes to Turlo.
I figured.
I mean, pulling people's pants down, talking about Viking titties.
Fucking
that's some
agent of
super
chaos.
roll. Next one was got fucked the worst. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just by chance happened to just get stomped by a bunch of guards because some asshole, who will remain unnamed, Turlo, went up to him and yelled at him. But it was because of somebody else.
Who sent me?
Yes.
So my biggest help was one of the only people that actually played D&D before, and I think he was trying to keep the cats contained with me. That one went to Nike Knicks.
Yep.
Don was trying to corral the shenanigans, I think, in a way. I think he saw it going away. Agent of Chaos Award goes to Geo. He, I think he was just testing the waters
I think so.
and like seeing what he was gonna do, supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just like, I don't really have much of a plan in mind, but we're just gonna go with it.
Well, he has a plan. A plan to be revealed later at a certain time.
The last award was Sat in Prison While Really Stoned Award. Goes to Brandon.
Yeah.
Yep. He really did spend like the entire game, other than like one interaction with Geo inside of a prison
I
cell.
felt bad for him. He did choose that starting point, but
Yeah.
like it made sense for his character.
Yeah. I was hoping somebody would actually do that because I thought that was a pretty interesting like way to get there. It made sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're at a funeral for a Viking king that's a raider, they're probably going to have prisoners, for whatever reason, and they go and, pillage someplace or whatever.
That made sense.
Yeah, basically I said what, was going on, and then I basically just kind of told everybody in the beginning, like, why are you here? Just to come up with some reason why you're at the funeral for this, well-to-do Viking lord.
What was Ernie's
Raider.
reason? I forget. Oh, his was a revenge quest. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
he had some sort of revenge arc. I think he lived in Raven Rock or whatever it was, and like the uppers of the city like screwed him and his family over, and he was doing the old classic edgy rogue revenge story. Everyone's kind of fit pretty nice. Nike made sense. He was a mercenary.
Yep.
Geo, you were kind of the wise sage, sorcerer, scholar type to the Sea Raider.
I was just the drunk guy who wanted to get laid that night.
Yep, he was like, there was a party going on. There were some Viking titties and mead, and yeah.
Very on brand. Very on brand.
Give me those Viking titties. Yeah, Tony, I talk like this the entire time. It's probably why I sound like an asshole.
It's a great voice, by the way.
Thank you.
He said he sounds like Three Dog from Fallout 3.
Oh yeah. Yep. I can see
It's
that.
Three Dog.
I was excited though. I was talking to Donald yesterday when we were doing our episode, and he was telling me that he was practicing his tough guy voice because he was gonna be a bigger asshole than me. And I'm like, man, we're either gonna become best, like our characters are gonna be like best of friends or fucking enemies. We're either gonna kill each other or we're gonna be like good at the end of the session. I don't know which.
If either of you live.
If any of us
You might
live.
not live.
I'd be
You
sad
never
if Turlo died.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with level 1. Is like a giant rat gets a stray crit on you. You have 8 hit points as a sorcerer. So it's really hard to kind of balance level 1 campaigns. I probably should have started us higher off, but then again, everyone is pretty new, so it's probably easier to start off at level 1. But yeah, so I've been kind of racking my head on how it's going to go. I think I'm just going to end up giving you guys a lot of rests in between and a lot of chances to recover your hit points, your spells, and everything.
Be easy on us, DMT.
I was gonna say.
I planned on giving I was going to give you guys like a supply chest that the Viking King's family had given you basically. So kind of like each person will have 3 healing potions and that sort of stuff like that. Just kind of counteract that. Oh shit! 2 random natural 20s from this giant rat, and half the party's dead.
What is Bolvi? What's his class?
So if you remember from last time, basically, he's the High King of I didn't even come up with the kingdom name, but so like he's like next in line to be the High King.
Yep.
So it's going off of kind of like how it was for like the Norse world or the Danes. There was a High King, and then there were kings of like several kings in Norway, several kings in Sweden, and that sort of stuff like that. So he's kind of like bound to help because another person came up on the boat and was like, "Hey, my father's land is in trouble. We need help," type of thing. So that's just kind of like his duty now that he's stepped into kind of that High King role.
Gotcha.
So.
We don't know that character, so it'll be very interesting
We do not.
to see how that goes.
We were supposed to know him more, but half of us got captured.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Were you expecting 3 people to be in prison by the end of session?
No, I kind of ended up getting into a corner. I was like, well, there's one way and one way only to get these guys back into the task, and that is to arrest all of them and put boots to them. I gave you a chance to slip out. I just made it really hard. There's always going to be a chance that you can get away, but like when there's 6 burly Vikings pinning you down, it's going to be a hard strength check to try to wiggle your way out of that.
Yeah.
All right, DMT. Here's a question for you. Look at this as like an anime show, right?
So what's the preview for the next one?
Oh, I love it.
All right, the scene opens, and you zooms in on the head, the mantle of a Viking longship, a fierce dragon. The team members are clinging onto ropes as they're going through a dark, battered sea over the waves. Splish splash on our way to it. Cuts to a kind of like overview, like a sky view of High Hrothgar. You get to see the battered landscape of High King Roth and what's been going on in his land. So that's the general next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Love it.
Love it. Good shit.
I'm excited for it. All right, so you've played a lot of D&D campaigns. Tony, you seem somewhat experienced. So my question for both of you is, I have a few DM questions because I've been like thinking story-wise, but I also have a few questions on best like characters that you guys are proud of, like for character building.
That's a good question.
I didn't DM too much, and when we were doing that, it was 4th edition. I played a little bit of 5th, but not nearly as much as you guys have, or you have.
You really only had one like big long character.
Oh yeah, when we were playing 4th edition, and me and Tom got with our group, we played for 2.5 years straight, roughly. It started out twice a week, then once a week, like halfway through. And I mean, we really went from level 1 to like 20 something. So probably that character, Ripley, that I had was an archer, or ranger, excuse me. That was just a ton of fun. That was like before kids, before everything else went to shit. Remember the good times?
So, interesting story about that. Tony and I actually went and got kind of matching tattoos for those characters.
Nice.
So they were both 20-sided dice, and then like kind of like think of like a coat of arms where you have like a cross behind you with like different things that represent like family or character or whatever. So I had like a warhammer and a holy symbol of Cord. And I think Tony had like a bow
and arrow.
Yeah, bow and arrow.
There it is.
And then like each of our banners like had a banner wrapped around it, and each of ours had like something that was like it said critical hit because he was the DPS. He was just chunking out damage as the archer. I used like I looked up Viking runes and I wrote the word healing word in Viking runes because I was a cleric, and so that was like my main role.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah. Cool. Yeah, we went the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just before the 4th, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, it's been longer than that. Oh, it's been like 5.
Oh shit, I'm old.
I'd be really happy if we were able to like make a constant campaign. I don't know if we would record it, but it'd be really nice to like just have a long campaign of like characters that you're growing attached to.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to find a good somebody that wants to like be passionate DM like a lot, and that's a pretty big commitment. If you're playing once a week, I mean, if you're playing once a week, it's a massive commitment. If you're playing once a month, it's a little easier, but you don't get that. You don't get that same attachment, I think, to a character when you're only playing like once or twice, once every 1 or 2 months.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like a thing. But like if you ever experience like a once a week, like every Monday I play, my D&D game right now for the past like year and a half. Like you get to really like your characters.
Is it the cleric or is what's?
Currently?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's I play on Eldritch Knight, which is just a subclass of fighter that uses. So I designed my character. I wanted to make a Witcher, basically. Okay. So he's like a monster hunter that's going out in the world to make his name for himself. And so I picked Eldritch Knight because they can use spells as well as fight with the sword. So I'm like, okay, that's the most witchery sounding, type of character D&D equivalent. And all my spells that I chose, the main thing that I chose them for was that they had resemblance to the Ards. Right, the little like mini spells that the Witcher knows. Yeah, so he has like Igni, and so I took like Flame Bolt. He has the one where he just like puts a shield in front of him, so I took shield as soon as I could get that one. Nice. And so I just kind of like designed the character kind of around that. And it's fun. We ended up making like a monster hunting / mercenary company that like has developed on the side of the campaign. We're actually playing Horde of the Dragon Queen, which is a pre-written one. Okay. But our DMs let us do a bunch of stuff on the side. Nice. So we have a manor that we got gifted to us from the first city, and it's called Stagheimer Hall. So yeah, that's like our base of operations, and yeah, we've been like consistently like building a mercenary company, building an adventuring company, like. It's the running joke is that instead of killing most of the bad guys, we try to knock them out and recruit them. Basically, like, all right, here's the deal, man. You can die right now, or you can get 50 gold a week and you can come work for us. So, I mean, we're a very fair group.
Yeah. So you've been defeated. How would you like a job?
Yep, pretty much.
I like it.
It reminded me of that scene from Scarface. I don't know if you guys have seen Scarface.
I have
recently. But there's the point where like Scarface takes over the business in Miami, and he goes basically, he's like, yeah, I promised I wouldn't kill you, and he's like, hey Manny, kill that piece of shit, and Manny goes up and blows the dude away. And then so like sitting in the corner of this was the bodyguard of the old boss, and he's just like, hey Ernesto, you want a job? Yeah, thanks Tony. So that's the running joke too. Hey, you want a job?
All right, for
Lay down or lay down.
being a DM, what do you need to know if you're going to start a campaign? If you're going to start like writing a story out, because I've had a lot of ideas, a lot of it very One Piece style.
Keep your ideas very loose,
Okay.
because inevitably they're not gonna. The players aren't gonna follow what you like, what's in your mind. Don't write it as like, I want it to be a power fantasy of like, I just want this to happen. Like I want like all these like certain plot twists to happen. You can try to build them in,
Yeah.
but you got to do it naturally, and you got to let the players do it. That was my biggest mistake the first time. It was like I was trying to come up with this big grand like strategy. And then I ended up railroading everybody into like kind of a singular path that really wasn't very fun for everybody. But like I went too complex with it. Basically, was my biggest downfall the first time I DM'd. I was trying to make something cool, and like certain aspects of it were probably cool, but then the other ones like people didn't feel like they had the autonomy to do it.
Yeah.
And so don't go in there thinking that you're gonna make this story come to life the way you want it to come to life.
The way my idea for it is to make like a small like RPG world, where it's like there's one singular goal, like the main objective, but everything else is like wide open.
Yeah. So like I said, you're gonna have that singular goal of whatever it is, the overarching story, but the way you're gonna get there is never gonna be the way you intended to be.
Sure.
It's just never like the way human interaction is. It's just there's no way. And if you do force it, then it becomes bad.
Yeah, it becomes unfun because your choices are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long a campaign can go for. Probably forever. But the longer you do it, the more of an idea you have of the characters, right? So you can kind of be like, all right, chances are this person's going to do this. What if we set them down this road?
Yeah. No, for sure. Speaking of that, I watched a TikTok the other day, and it was this dude that was talking about how he was DMing for the past like 20 years with the same characters, and he finally TPK'd the whole party after 20 years. And I guess apparently it was like glorious and everybody loved it. Like everyone like died heroes basically.
Oh,
like it was a good ending.
Yeah.
Like, but he's like, yeah. He's like, started off the video. He's like, yep, I'm a DM, and I just TPK'd my party after 20 years of the same campaign.
Jesus.
And then he went and kind of explained it a little bit. I'm like, God damn, dude. like I think what are we 2.5 years? I think was about the longest one. This one I'm in right now is pushing 1.5 years, so I'm getting close to that mark. But like years, you're talking years.
Sidebar. Did anybody here ever see that movie about the guys that have like the longest running? It's a comedy, low budget movie, but they have the longest running D&D campaign against these group of Amish guys who have the second longest running D&D campaign every day or every week for like 30, 20 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's this whole thing about how the group's unraveling and whatnot. And then I don't want to spoil it, but there's the Amish end up fucking with them, and it's awesome. But it just reminded me of that of like how you finish off the game and like
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could commit to something that long?
20 years?
Yeah.
I think I could. I don't know if I could DM for that long. I don't know if I could probably be a player for that long. I feel like I could get really into it.
That'd be tough. I don't know.
It's tough I feel like it'd be tough like as a parent now, especially with like the podcast on the side. But if I didn't have the podcast, I think I could do like once a week. Especially now with like remote settings.
That's true. You can do like Zoom and stuff. Yeah.
Well, Discord is I think the biggest one, right? Discord.
for
Like if you're gonna do
Campaigns.
campaigns.
Tailspire. Yeah, Roll20, Tailspire. Those are Tailspire is probably I think the best one because you can customize maps, but then you're spending fucking hours building your stuff and
Yeah.
Tailspire is good because it doesn't have the so like some of the like more simple ones like Roll20 have deals with wizards, so they actually have all the rule books. So like if you own the rule book, you can put in a code, and then you can get access on Roll20 to everything that's in that rule book.
Oh, nice.
So they actually have a deal with like Wizards where they're like an actual sponsor. Like they're like Wizards is like, this is our main one for online. Like this is the one you use for online, basically. Tailspire's cool because it's like it's a 3D version of Roll20, whereas basically Roll20 is more like the traditional, like you're playing on a flat map and you just kind of use the power of imagination and you know move the tokens and you kind of have to picture it in 3D. Whereas Tailspire, you can like build cool dungeons and like rotate the camera and there's lighting effects and it's cool.
I would assume it's similar to Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, not as nice looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a cool like 3D rendering of it. And it's kind of a system agnostic game where it's not really made for any particular system, so you can use it to play whatever you want.
Nice.
So like when we played on Tailspire, we just had character sheets on D&D Beyond, and so we just had it on another tab, opened our character sheets in D&D Beyond, and then we just used the rolling tools in the game. Funnest thing about Tailspire was that when you roll your dice, you don't just like click a button and it rolls for you. You actually like have a pile of dice that you drop, and then you click and you can like throw them across the map with your mouse, and everybody sees like your D20 like bouncing through the dungeon. So it's like you're actually playing at a table or something.
Yeah. I will say ever since our first D&D session, I view everything as like D&D, like dice rolls, especially with playing Baldur's Gate as well. I even made the TikTok of like when you roll a critical failure. Oh, that was a horrible experience. I went to just fill up water. I filled up the water and somehow ended up knocking the water down. It ended up being like a 15-20 minute like
Debacle.
yeah, because I'm high off my ass trying to like clean up everything. And then one person in the comments like, yeah, it's this, I forget what he called it. It's like when you green out, where you like smoke so much that like there was a comment. I'm like, you know what? You're probably right, but god damn it, man.
Call me out like that.
Don't call me out like that. It's just I rolled a 1 in that moment. It was also super high, but yeah.
You rolled a 1 on your constitution. You failed your constitution save to see if you could handle that shit.
I could not. I did not handle it. It was.
What was the other like D&D type movie? Knights of Badassdom. That movie was great.
Yeah.
So Peter Dinklage is in that one.
Oh, nice.
And Peter Dinklage is like he ends up being like he's like the rich friend that's single. And so these guys have like always played D&D together. They LARP and shit like that. And so he wanted to get like a hyper realistic thing for his sorcerer. So he bought this like occult book, and it ended up being a real occult book.
Oh.
And so they're at this big LARP, and he like reads passages out of it and some of the succubus.
Oh my gosh, I remember this movie.
And
yes.
yeah, and so like they're all LARPing, and so they have the foam swords and shit. But this succubus is like going around like fucking and like eating people's souls, and it's just ridiculousness ensues.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, Knights of Badassdom, it's called.
Alright, I have to check that out.
It's funny.
Have you LARPed before?
No, I want to.
I've never like legitimately LARPed. I have a friend that you remind me of. I told you this before. He has LARPing swords, and I remember using the LARPing swords like actual sword fight with them.
Tony, does what we did in high school count for LARPing? Or is that just beating each other up with towels with foam wrapped around them?
Well, according to the neighbor who hated us, she would consider it LARPing because we were a danger to the community.
Oh.
But we were also making bombs and blowing them up in the backyard, so it could be that too.
Wait, LARPing is also blowing up bombs
Well,
in the
so
backyard?
I had another friend named Matt, and we were making sparkler bombs, and yeah, we were putting a good plate-sized crater in the yard, just fucking around. But then she had called the cops, and then like the next week we were doing this kind of LARPing, fighting with the foam, dowels and stuff, and she called again and was like, "They're training to kill people. They're an anger and a menace." And like, yeah, so my mom wasn't a huge fan of that.
It was all fun and games. Like, so I made like a Roman legionary. So we bought like plywood, and we got like probably like 1.5-inch, 2-inch wooden dowels, and then we bought like insulation foam for piping, and we duct taped the shit out of that. And so Tony had this big like 6-foot tall like 2-handed broadsword. Then he was fighting me, and I was doing like short sword and like like a stabby with a shield. And then at one point, it was great. We were having lots of fun, and he shattered my shield and like split it right down the middle. It folded over my hands, and he took this 6-foot dowel and just pegged me in the side of the head at like full swing. And even with a bunch of foam on it, man, like my ears were ringing. I'm like, dude, I think we're done right now. My shield's broken. I might be concussed. I'm not sure.
That was Tom's first TBI.
Yeah. It's my first. That explains a lot.
I wish Brandon was here for this because my first experience with anything like foam swords there's Nerf foam swords that they had.
Sure.
And for the longest time, they're only like $20 to buy, not that much. But I was making like maybe $9 an hour at this point, and me and a couple of my friends, we go to Target and we would see these like foam swords, and we'd be like, man, if we had the money to buy these foam swords, we would go at it. Literally only $20. I don't know why we didn't just buy it. Probably because we were all working at McDonald's at this time. But I remember just like talking up these foam swords, and one day I said, "Fuck it, we're just gonna buy it." Me and my friend TJ, we bought it. We bought 2 swords. We're in the Target parking lot. We're just going at it with each other. It's the middle of fucking winter, just freezing out. And this lady comes by. She's like, "What do you guys just bought swords?" Just start like, I don't even remember what comment she said. And I turn around, it's my fucking like on. I'm like, "Oh, what's up, Chinita? Hey."
Yeah, we are totally fighting in a parking
She's like,
lot.
"Oh, it's Jake. It's you. Should have known it was just you. This is something you would do." I'm like, "Yep." I ended up getting like 2 foam swords for Christmas, and I ended up with like 3 pairs.
Jeez.
And me and my friend Brian, we went to McDonald's where we all worked, and Brandon was the manager at the time. And me and Brian, we came in with foam swords, and I had an extra one, and I said, "Fuck it." We threw him an extra sword. I'm like, "We're battling right now. No one's in McDonald's, and we're literally sword fighting in the middle of a McDonald's lobby, and I'm jumping off all the tables and chairs." And it was like an epic fight that I'm pretty sure is still on Facebook somewhere.
Nice. You know, it's funny, Tony was talking about giving me my first brain injury. That, ironically enough, that's like not the first time Tony's given me a brain injury. Because after that, the foam sword incident, we're like, "Hey, you know what would be fun? Let's go to Shields. Let's take a trip to St. Cloud. Let's buy boxing gloves." And the 2 of us are out in my dad's like driveway, and so like, I was nervous. I was like, I don't like. He's like my best friend. I can't really punch him. Tony like had no qualms about that shit, and he just starts fucking just kicking the shit out of me. I'm like, "Holy shit, dude! Time!" So after we punched each other a bunch of the time, every party we'd go to in high school, we'd bring both of our boxing gloves, and we'd get drunk dudes to fight each other. And man,
Yeah.
we had some good shit.
It was a terrible. I'm surprised more people didn't get hurt. It was, and in my defense, I had 2 older cousins that were full-on psychopaths who used to beat the living shit out of me and my cousin Alex. So that's why I have no qualms around. I'm like, "Oh, we're engaging in this? We're going 100%, because I had to fight that way.
That's your history.
And I'm the oldest, so like I don't have an older sibling, but it's always an older cousin, so yeah.
I remember we had this Vietnamese exchange student who was the shit. Like, he was cool. His name was Trung, but he went by Jerry. You know, everyone.
Yeah.
You know, all the Chinese exchange students and Asian exchange students always pick a white dude name.
Yeah.
It's always Jerry or Steve or something like that.
What's your name? Jerry. What's your name?
Really?
What's your
You
name?
sure? You sure about
That's
that?
your name. And then they say something you can't pronounce. You're like, all right, what's up, Jared? Let's go.
So his wasn't even that. It was Trung.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's
Trung
very
Fu.
first. Yeah.
And like it wasn't that complicated or whatever. Trung, if you're listening, what's up, brother? Hope things are going good in Vietnam.
Nice.
But we had this other kid who was kind of an asshole, and he had short little guy syndrome. And so we're like, okay, we're like, who wants to fight next or whatever?
What's his name, Corey?
Jason.
Or Jason.
Jason. So Jason is like, I'll play or I'll fight, and Jerry's like, oh yeah, I'll fucking throw down. He's like, whatever. I guess apparently he did like Muay Thai and shit like that. And
Oh,
this kid didn't know it. And Jerry was like 120 pounds and like 5'3".
Yeah.
He was like your atypical Asian dude, like just tiny dude, right? And Jason was pretty short too. He was like maybe 5'5", 5'6" ish, but he was definitely like, he had him outweighed by a lot, right? And so, I'm officiating this where, of course, it's like 3 a.m. We're in the driveway of some person's house that, parents are out of town.
Sure.
Everyone's standing around, fucking, yelling, what's the...
Yeah, kill him.
Yeah, kill him. I'm just trying to get that like, street fighting.
Never back down.
No, it was World Star.
World Star. Oh my God.
It was that shit. It was like Kimbo Slice. It was like Kimbo Slice.
World
video.
Star. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Ro, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's like 20 people out there. And so I'm like, all right, guys, touch gloves, just sign of respect. That's what you do, every boxing match.
Yep.
And I go in to say touch gloves, and Jason winds up and sucker punches Jerry as hard as he could. And you saw the rage building in this little dude as soon as that happened. And I was like, Jerry, you good? He's like, fucking ring the bell, man. Essentially. And he went fucking full Bruce Lee on this dude. He had him like on the figurative ropes. Like Jerry was just fucking throwing punches so fast and so hard. And finally, like the kid's just like, God, fuck, you win. Stop.
Fuck.
Just straight Bruce Lee on this. Oh man, we had some other good ones too. Where like we had the one kid that was just like he was like the roid rage power lifter kid. He was also like 5'4", real little man syndrome. And then he was fighting this other big old farm boy. And they start boxing and they're fighting really good or whatever. And then all of a sudden like one of them picks the other one up and like slams him on this metal chair. And we're like, whoa, guys!
Too far.
Sam and Ryan were probably the best fight ever.
Yep.
They were both ended up bleeding out of their nose and stuff. They were both like equally sized guys, but they were just like they were both like really jolly, happy dudes. But they were like they're tough dudes. But like they were just smiling the whole time as they're just pounding the shit out of each other. So
I will say, like, I feel like it's when you have a group of friends that you trust. Sometimes it's just fun to just like fuck around and fight. Like not necessarily like in like I'm gonna hurt you, but it's just like hey, let's battle it out.
like old slap fights and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Sure, like slap boxing.
Me and my youngest sister, we do like slap fights, and sometimes I feel bad because I'll just like wind up really hard and get her good.
Yeah, that's your sister.
That's my sister, but she'll come back around and just back, and it's funny because like my brother-in-law, Michael, which I think both of you met Michael. He was at the birthday. He'll just like look and he's like, oh shit, like he's like wanting to like protect his love, but at the same time he's like, the siblings fighting, we're just let it be, and we're just laughing off at it like it's it's what we do.
Sure.
The dumb shit we did in high school and stuff, man. You guys got any good like ridiculous high school, college stories? I got. This is my best story ever. I probably shouldn't preface it that way. It's probably gonna suck. And everyone's like, you just,
tell it.
You already set it up.
Yeah,
already
so
set it up.
whatever. So freshman year, go to St. Cloud State, and we ended up in this program called First Year Experience, and it was a dorm of all freshmen.
St. Cloud State, right?
Yep.
I was in something similar.
Yeah. They actually like canceled that program the year after us because it was such a shit show.
Yeah.
Right? Either way, so we were partying at this girl's place in Mitchell Hall. Her name was Tanya. And I was drinking. We went to Atwood, got a big gulp of Coke, and we were mixing up like Ron Diaz or Captain Morgan in there. So I drank my whole like big gulp drink, and I'm like, fuck, we got nothing else to mix with. So I was literally was pouring Captain Morgan on ice, sipping it out of a straw. And so I'm drunk as fuck at this point, right? We're partying it up. And I'm like, Tanya, man, I gotta take a leak. You know, this is an all girls dorm. Right, so she's like, all right, come with me. I'll stand at the door. You can go pee, whatever. So I'm going to pee, and then all of a sudden I hear this knock on the door, and the staller, clunk, 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 clunk. All right, who's in there? And I'm like, what? Nobody. So I get out, and Tanya is fucking ghosted. As soon as she saw it already walking, she was just like, peace, motherfucker, we're out of here.
It's cold.
So I'm like 18, so I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna get a minor, I'm gonna get arrested, I'm gonna get kicked out of college. What the fuck am I gonna do? So she's bringing me down the stairs, like, and I remember vividly, like, you know, one of those like spiral staircases, you know, going down, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, okay, I got it. As soon as she like turns her back, and I got a straight line to the doors, I am gone. I am Usain bolting out of this motherfucker, right? So I vividly remember she turns to the left, and like that's where the like the office was or whatever. And she goes, "Yeah, this guy was peeing in the boom," and I was off, like just like at the starting blocks. There was a double door, and I just remember slamming through like doom, just through both doors. I took a hard left out of there, and I went to the nearest woods. I had no idea where I was. And I'm probably rocking like 3 times the legal limit right now, so I am drunk as fuck, right? So I pull this hard left, cut across this lawn, and I dive straight into this woods. Little did I know, St. Cloud State's on the Mississippi River, right?
Yep.
Okay. The woods I dove into was a 45-degree incline straight down to the Mississippi River.
So I was wondering what woods you were referring. Cause like that's the college. Like I lived near there. It's the college I went to. I'm like, what fucking woods is by St. Cloud State?
Yeah, I just went to the nearest wooded area, and like,
is it Mitchell Hall like right on the?
Yes, it is. So that's why it's next to the like. There's like a Catholic center, like church right next to it. I forget what it's called. But anyway, so I dive down there, and I'm like, down here, and so I land flat on my stomach, and I'm like, they're going to be coming after me. The cops are going to be coming.
Yeah.
They're going to send dogs. They're going to have dogs out here. They're going to be sniffing at me or whatever, right? So I belly crawl down to the river, get in there so that I'm walking in the river, and I walk upstream like maybe like 50 feet.
Okay.
And then I jump back on there. It's like I'm going to lose my scent or whatever, right?
Yep.
And so I belly crawl back up there, and I'm like, literally like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, like hiding under bushes and shit, like just like, yeah, right. And all of a sudden I hear like stuff walking in the woods. At the moment I was like, it's the FBI with their drug dogs. They're going to get me, right? Looking back on it, it was squirrels.
Yep.
Sure, right?
And so I continued to belly crawl. Like I'd crawl like 20 feet. I would like dig myself underneath this like fallen down tree, like hugging like this, like hanging underneath it. And finally I made it to like it was a cement corner, and it ended up being that church.
Yep.
And so like I was laying there and I was just kind of like, man, it's cold. I'm gonna have to make camp here. You know, I got to camp out the whole night. So I grabbed this big rock and I started digging a hole in the corner of this building. And so I lay down there and I like pass out. No one knows where I am. So like 3 hours later, I like finally like wake up and I'm like one of those like, where in the fucking holy hell am I right now? All I like I'm just surrounded by
Did you
woods.
black out drunk?
Yeah, I black out drunk. Like,
Not hear this man's story.
yeah, dude.
Well, I hear
I
it.
thought the FBI was coming after
I'm
me,
just
John.
confirming that he was blacked out.
No, I'm like I was like 3 times illegal in minimum.
Goddamn.
Like I was drinking straight Morgan.
What I think is like hilarious about it is like I actually lived in an apartment. Huh?
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
There's more. Okay.
But wait.
I lived in an apartment like nearby for a good 6 months.
Yeah.
So like, I'm imagining like looking out the like the living room of the
And
apartment I
seeing-
lived at, and
seeing
just like
solid snakes.
Tom was fucking in that like in those woods at one point in time.
Back in 05, there was a crazy guy running through there. So I'm not as drunk at this point, so I like kind of like crawl my way up there, and like I remember getting through the bushes and I like see the light of all the dorms, and I'm like, cool. And I walk through the front desk, and it's kind of like, hey, what's up? You know, I'm not drunk at all or anything like that. I go to my room. There's no my roommate's not there. I go to my other buddy's room. I'm like, I'm just trying to tell people I'm alive or whatever. And the one dude that stayed back and was playing Halo, his name was Matt. And I walk in there, and I sit down on his futon, and he just looks at me and goes, pulls his headset off real quick. He's like, what the fuck happened to you? And apparently, like, I had, like, fucking burrs, like, just matted in my hair. And so he was just like, he's like, I watched you for, like, 15 minutes just standing there ripping burrs out and putting them on my desk. Do you remember that? Not really. And then finally, yeah, so that was the end of it.
That's great.
I just walked into it. That was my shittiest of shit shows. That started my Merlin. That was my Merlin phase.
The Merlin phase.
Yeah. So you can ask Tony all about my Merlin phase.
What's the Merlin phase?
Yeah, you go for that one. You go. Come on, you guys, Tony.
Yep. So Tom went through this phase, as we all have to do, I guess, where he would get drunk, sometimes way quicker than others, and then all of a sudden just say something like, hey, I'm going to go grab this from downstairs. Fucking gone. Every time. Not even like other side of the house, in another dorm room, fucking half a mile away. And his greatest Merlin story was we did Kegs Eggs downtown. Started at like 7. By 10:30, Tom's so fucking drunk.
I said this that we were at the Martini Bar. We were drinking martinis at 7:30 in the morning.
Yep. So it was we were drinking heavily, hard liquor, all that stuff. And I don't remember what it was. I think I was with you. I was getting pretty drunk, and I was like, Tom's in fucking ruins. I'm like, I gotta watch this guy. And somebody had said they were going with you to do something, and they just turned, fucking totally left you, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, everyone's like, "Where's Tom?" No fucking clues. We found a sober friend, drove us back to the house that we started everything. We were staying at our friend Corey's. It's kind of our hub of debauchery for a long time. Tom's there, passed out, wrapped all the way around a tree, puked and everything, just completely fucking taken. But somehow he managed to,
Something like 2.5 miles.
get across the river all the way up to the house without anybody, cop stopping him, because he's doing the zombie shamble as he's so drunk. So that became this thing for a year.
And then,
She's just working. Just trying to catch up on some stuff.
We are recording. Hello.
Oh,
Welcome
hey.
back. Quick break, but
sorry, I Merlined real quick there. The last story.
yeah, the last thing we were talking about was your Merlin phase.
Yeah, it was good times. The reason why we called it Merlin, because imagine like the old King Arthur movies where they throw a smoke bomb down.
No, it makes sense.
Tom.
You get it.
Yeah.
Just he's gone.
I like it. The
We used to
Merlin
do the
phase.
John Cena when we were talking about my Merlining, and Tom would go.
All right, so like if we ever get shit-faced drunk, just be on the lookout the fact that you could do this where you're just gone.
As long as I'm home, you never have to worry about that.
Okay.
If we're partying or if we're at a house,
So if you're at my place
yeah.
and you disappear, like
Wait, that's something that can still happen?
It hasn't happened in a long time.
okay.
Like probably.
New guy Tony says no.
No.
I'd say because when we were at like Johnson's or Corey's, but those are kind of in the middle of nowhere, so you can't walk home.
I'd still walk to a bar or something. No, it's usually when we're like downtown drunk. Like, and there's a point where like some people just can keep on drinking.
Yeah.
They keep drinking and they keep drinking. I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I'm done. I'm going home.
Yeah,
Like,
you have an end
peace.
point.
Peace. I'm out.
Irish goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Merlin goodbye for you.
Yeah.
I like it.
So okay.
Yeah,
I don't-
I said not in a lot of years, but yeah, if I'm ever at a house or buddies, I'll stick around.
Although that does make me, that brings up an interesting question for the table, minus you because we just learned about your.
Yep.
What's your level of drunk? Like, what does your level of drunk look like?
Oh, like our drunk. What is our drunk self?
Yeah.
Look like? I am the happy-go-lucky drunk person. I've been told I'm a fun drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Moser, that you all met, he graciously was the sober cab to my drunkhood when last time we went to a wedding, a friend of ours' wedding. And I was like I'm the drunk who's like very much like Turlo.
Sure.
Viking
If-
Viking titties.
Maybe not so much to the point where like biking titties where I'm going to cause drama, but very much like I am seeking pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, I want to go on the swing. Like, no, we have to leave. Like, no, I'm fucking going on the swing. Like, you're not going to stop me. I'm going on the swing. But as long as you allow me to do whatever the fuck I want to do, I'm fine. I remember one time just being blacked out. This is the first time I ever was, like, blackout drunk. Like, I remember the night like this where I'm at a place and then, like, I'll black out and I'll be at a different place, but I have no idea what happened in between. And I remember, like, a old classmate of mine, graduated a year ahead of me. He showed up. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? He's like, Jake, I've been here for 2 hours. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, when the fuck did you get here? Because in my mind, like, I skipped 2 hours.
Yeah.
And now I'm cautious. And I remember that night going to the lake, like, I want to swim. They're like, no, Jake, you're too drunk to swim. Like, I want to swim.
That sounds right.
I feel like I am the epitome of at least in my mind, I'm the funny, stupid guy when I'm drunk. I don't know if Tony would disagree or not. I might be an asshole secretly, and everyone just thinks I'm an asshole, but that's what I foresee myself always being. And I'm always one of those ones like, bet you anybody won't smoke my dreadlock. Motherfucker, then I will.
Don't threaten me with a good time. That's fair.
I climb that tree? Yep, I'm going to climb that tree.
I feel like I'm very similar in that regard. I've only been kicked out of the bar once. And that's after I was like blackout drunk, puking in the middle of the bar.
Sure, yeah, that'll get you kicked out.
And there was a picture of me. It was just like me and Moser's one of them, another guy just holding me up, and I'm just like smiling with two thumbs up. And I remember waking up and like having snapshots of that picture and be like, when the fuck did I take that picture?
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna turn this over to new guy Tony because like I feel like an outside perspective. Like I feel like if Moser was here, he'd be able to like confirm or deny.
Yeah.
So I want to turn this over to new guy Tony and see if my perception of my drunk self is as accurate as what an outside observer is. And I'm really. This is like a roast. You're fine. All hands off. I don't care.
No, I'd say, Tom, you're very jovial.
Oh, good word.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, you're jovial to the point that like you'll be talking to anything stupid. But then there'll be this weird event that happens. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small. But like the good one was like climb that tree, and then you were climbing this stupid fucking tree, and everybody was trying to climb the tree, and you fell like 8 feet. And it was the quintessential like. And like hard smack, and like you slapped your knees together so hard your whole thigh was fucked up the next day.
Fuck, dude.
And you're like, that's it, I'm done.
I hit my limit.
Yeah. And then the other one was we were at that random party, and there was that redheaded guy, and he just said some off-colored comment. I remember something about Jolene at the time or somebody, and you're like,
ginger-haired motherfucker.
yeah, you ginger-haired motherfucker! You know what I'll fucking do to you, and you get drunk out. But you're generally all jovial until something like that happens.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess I agree with that. Like, for the most part, I'm not mean, but like, I pick fights. Like, when I get really drunk, then I pick fights.
I remember a time when I was like super drunk, just walking downtown St. Cloud, and there's two dudes that are like, fight me, and the other dude's like, no, you fight me, and they're like going back and forth, doing the whole like cocky, fake, like tough thing, like, oh, fight
Puffing
me,
out
no,
their
you
chest.
fight me, and they're both like puffing out chests, and I'm just
Fight me!
and I'm just like this drunk ass dude literally sitting on some dude's car, not my own, just some person's car, just watching, like waiting for a fight, just excited. And they could be like, fight me, no, fight me. I'm like, dude, someone fight fucking somebody. I'm gonna start fucking fighting somebody. And I remember just saying it out loud. My friends would be like, Jake, shut the fuck up. Like, let's go. I'm like, no, I want to see a fucking fight. And if they're not gonna fight, I'm gonna fight them.
Jake, I think
Jake,
you and I
man.
are perfect for each other when we're drunk. Because, okay, so there's this place called McRudy's.
Okay.
It's where the Pickled Loon is now
Okay.
in St. Cloud. We always called it McMiners because, like, they would fucking serve anybody.
Yeah.
My buddy Corey would always he would always call in, and they used to do on Rockin' 101.7. They used to do Free Keg Thursday, right? So all you had to do was call in at the right time, and you would get free keg wristbands.
Nice.
And they would have like 3 free kegs at McMiners, right? So we're sitting here chilling around this table, and you just sense it in the air, like the air becomes thick and metallic. You're just like, it's ebbing and flowing weird. You're like, there's a fight about ready.
Yeah,
to happen,
tension.
right?
There's tension.
There's tension in the air, right? And I'm sitting up, and I'm like leaning back. I have my feet up on another bar stool, and I'm just like chilling back here. And same thing, like the crowd starts ebbing and flowing. These guys are going at each other, and like all the people in the party but me, like back up like 10 feet. And these guys are just going off of each other. And I'm just sitting here like arms crossed like this. And Tony's like, dude, get over here. And all of a sudden I just yell out, he called you a pussy! Tony's like, Tom, shut the fuck up! You're gonna get your ass kicked! Yeah, he called you one! And these bros just start beating the shit out of each other. I didn't move the entire time. Like, dudes were like falling down 5 feet in front of me. I'm like, yeah, get him! Get him!
I was going to say, for a little bit more context, it was like an 8-person brawl with the 2 security guards.
Yep.
And the funniest part was there was some guy, he was kind of sitting up on a stool, and he was just trying to drink his free beer, and he was just kind of inching the stool ever so slightly, a couple inches away from like this huge brawl, and then somebody went, nah, get over here, and hooks him by the back of the
Right in the fucking face.
Yeah, just flips him right off, beats the crap out of the guy. I felt so bad for him. But he was just funny. He's like, instead of getting up and moving, he's just huddling a beer. Just like, oh, God.
I was about 5 inches away from being that guy, especially when I was yelling at people. That's my other thing I do when I'm drunk. I call people out.
Yeah,
It's really bad. Like, like those girls that dress in like the mini skirts, and it's like January 30 below.
Yeah.
It's like, drink. I have no filter. It's terrible. This was all when I was younger, though. Like, I have chilled pretty significantly, but like I was.
Tony is nodding yes.
Mm-hmm. That's what age will do to you.
I just know that I can't get punched in the face like I used to.
Yeah.
Can't take that.
I feel like when
Keep
you
my
get
mouth
older,
shut.
you feel your mortality a little bit more. When you're younger, like, I'm invincible.
It happens to everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
How about a row? What do you like?
Oh man.
Yeah. What's Ro? You fill us in, and then we'll wrap it up.
It depends on the environment, because you'll get one of 2 rows. You'll either get like party row, where I'm just straight energy,
Vibing.
like keep it going. Let's go. Let's like, what are we getting into? What are we doing? Or you'll get psych row, and that's where like
psychotic row?
no. I can't tell you how many times I would meet new people, and within 5 minutes they're telling me like, yeah, my dad died, and I'm feeling really low.
Psychologist,
Yeah.
bro.
And I'm just like, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, my mom has cancer.
Like-
we rented this out. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you.
Could you imagine if, like, that's what you live off of is secrets or family, like, trauma? And you're just like, you get drunk and you're just like, all right, tell me more. And you're like, yeah.
But that's how it. That's straight up how it goes. My buddy Eric, who you guys met.
Yep.
New guy Tony. You're
Symposium
new.
podcast.
That's my
shout out.
that's my buddy and my co-host for the Symposium podcast. Thank you. But we would go out, and anytime that we would just be around people, I just ask simple questions, like just starting off with, "Hey, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain questions that I'd start to ask as we're continuing to talk. Next thing I know, I hear my boys go like, "Romero, shut the fuck up." And I'm like, I'm just asking a question. But then, sure enough, like 5 to 10 minutes in, and I just start, like, people just start pouring out their secrets to me, and I'm like, cool. So, like, what you on later? Like, what you trying to do? And the only reason that happens is because I'm curious. I'm like legitimately curious about this person.
You're the
Tell
drunk
me,
psychologist.
yeah, tell me about you.
You're the father. Like there's always like the mother hen figure. And
Yeah.
The drunk people. You're the father. You're. I was like, tell me what's up. What's going on?
I think last time I had a session like that was last 4th of July weekend. I was just hanging out. I was at the bar downtown, and I was just having a good time. Just and this girl was right next to me. She's kind of going like this. She crossed her arms, and I was like, "Hey man, what's good? You having a great time?" And she just kind of looked up to me, and I was like, I said, "Are you having a great time?" In case she didn't hear me. And then she just started crying, and I was like, "Oh no, baby girl, no!" And I hugged her, and she hugged me back, and I was like, "Oh, something's wrong here." And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "He stood me up." And I was like, "Oh," and I said, "Fuck him." I was like, "You don't deserve that." But what happened though? And she just started like pouring it out. She's like, "I don't normally do this. I'm a 33-year-old woman. Like, I'm a doctor." I was like, "God damn, why are you here?" I was like, "Why are you here?" She's like, "I just don't normally do this." And I said, "Here's what you need to do. Drink some water. Drink like 3 cups. Go home. Sleep this off. Don't come back here for a while." So that's what happens.
That's psych, bro. I like psychologists, bro. I like that. Yeah, this is a short one, but the other thing that I was infamous for back in the dumb, like 21-year-old age is I would always be pissing. Like anytime I'd go take a leak and some guy would sit next to me in the urinal.
What is that shit about? Like, not to cut you off, but like that drives me nuts. When you're taking a piss, right?
Yep.
And no one else is around, but all of a sudden somebody else comes in and it's like right next to you. Mm-hmm. Why?
I don't know, but I would call it out. So anybody, every time they'd go next to me, I'd be pissing and I'd look down and I just would go, "Whoa, nice dick!" And they're like, it was always this like intense like turn around. "What the fuck did you say to me?" I would kick your ass and I go, "Mine, this thing's fucking great!" And I just kept pissing. And then it was laughter after that. And I am surprised, like, I should say I did it all the time. I probably did it like 2 or 3 times to strangers. I did it to Tony every time he would come take a leak by me, but like, to strangers like 2 or 3 times, and I never got my ass kicked. I'm surprised I didn't.
That's pretty good.
But like, I followed up the punchline real quick with that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't leave it hanging there, like.
I don't know, can you kick the ass of a man who said you had a nice dick?
I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be like, "Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
I grew it myself."
I'd be like, "Stop looking at me, but thank you."
I don't care. Enjoy it. Enjoy the presence.
Hold on, new guy Tony. What's your drunk?
But yeah, I can get you guys Tony your own.
I don't know. I think I'm fucking loud and stupid most of the time.
Yeah, I'll second
Sounds
that
like
one.
most people.
But generally, I'm more the voice of reason, where it's like, no, we're not going to climb that tree, Tom.
Yes.
You're the father of the group.
Yeah.
And then Tom says, "No, fuck that. I am dry." And then I wake up in the morning and my legs are bruised. I'm like, "Ah, damn it, I hurt." And he's like, "I fucking told you."
Drunk me heard you, but drunk me still gonna drunk me.
Alright. Is that about a wrap?
I think that's about a wrap. All right, thank you guys for joining us during the Pivot episode, the Pivot 2, season 2. I don't even know quite.
Season 2, episode 1, or you can say episode 2.
It's like episode 4 or 5 of season 2. I don't know.
Whatever, man. It's your podcast. I don't give a shit.
At least you're being honest. All right, thank you guys for joining us. This is The Pivot, season 2, and we are out.